Hey, this topic is a little bit tough for me to talk about because we're going to be discussing organizations out there that even I've given money to that are supposed, I hope are doing some real good, but the money doesn't ever seem to trickle down to really helping autistic adults and their caregivers. So let's just kind of get into it. My name is Ben Blackman. This is the After Us Project, and listen, I'm not here to bash a bunch of organizations. It's not about that. This is not a critique of every organization out there because there are so many good ones that I know, the people in them. There's just really, really good ones out there, but that doesn't mean that's all of them. And frankly, some of the bigger ones aren't as good as I would have hoped they would have been. And how I assess that is I look at what they say their promise is, and then I look at what their administrative fees, what they're paying out for that, and because most of them are way overweighted on admin stuff, and it's ridiculous. And so the money's not getting down to the people that could use the help and training caregivers. I'm specifically talking about parents of autistic adults and how to help the autistic adults live their lives. A lot of this stuff is centered around, prevention and actually, I'm sorry, not prevention, but fixing it or curing and all that stuff's fine. There's, genetics, that stuff needs to be done and researched. But, you know, the real need or a huge need is helping people manage their lives and have a fulfilling life. The people that are already here that are dealing with this today. And so we definitely, there's a place for that. But I'm talking about the organizations that say they're going to help the families and they really don't, or at least not in the way you think they're going to. Now, it'll probably come as no surprise that a lot of the money that that is contributed to some of these bigger organizations, they go into billboards or PR campaigns or these big conferences, and it just again, it's all a bunch of admin stuff, a bunch of marketing and admin. And I'll tell you just a quick story, something that kind of jaded me some years ago. This massive nonprofit, which we all know who it is. I mean, it's not an autism based one, it's just something else. I was on the plane with this guy, and apparently he was pretty high up in the organization, and something happened, and we had to sit together, anyway, whatever. So we were sitting there, and he got smashed. I mean, I don't drink, not that I'm judging, you can do whatever you want, but he got smashed. And he just started going on and on about how all these trips that he gets to take and all these things that he gets to do and how they can spend this money and that money doing this and this and this. And never once did he mention helping the people that the organization is supposed to be helping. He didn't mention that at all. And it really kind of bothered me, for lack of a better word. And so I started looking into this in relationship to, autism and these organizations, and some of them really are the same. Again, I'm not trying to bash any specific one or anything like that. I'm not saying that some of them aren't doing some good. I want to be careful where I put my money. If I'm going to donate to an organization that helps people with autism, I want to know what they're really doing versus what they say they're doing. So that's usually what happens. But direct support for families and stuff, or like caregiver training, long-term planning. I mean, that's usually like 1 to 4% of their budget. It's just not much. And so that's why it's tough to find resources out there when you're the parent of an autistic adult. So that's how it goes. One issue is the power is in the wrong hands because the boards of these organizations are usually stacked with these big corporate donors or professionals, with all these pedigrees. And I'm not saying that those people don't need to be a part of that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's rarely is is there an autistic person on there, or if there is, it's just one, just to kind of have somebody on there. And the decisions are often made by people who've never had to navigate a meltdown. They don't even know what that's like, or beg for insurance coverage, or try to figure out what happens after graduation. They don't know what that's like. And so that's usually the people making the decisions. Now, again, I'm not saying they shouldn't be part of the process. I'm just saying maybe we need to rethink who's actually making these decisions in some of these organizations. And something else that kind of affects everything is the messaging. So the messaging is, a lot of it is about autism is something to fear to some extent. So a lot of it's focused on how to fix it or cure it, like I was talking about before, or prevent. And it's not not about the people living with it. And it's they're asking the question, why does autism happen, and how can we prevent that, versus how can we help autistic people live well. Now, and listen, there's room for both. There's plenty of room for both, but I just don't see the part about living well out there, and the bulk of the budgets being spent on that, or at least a good portion of them. It's really just about, because it's a lot easier for them to get money for that. Let's just face it. That's how it works. It's a lot easier to get a grant to research than it is to help the people who really need it today to live better. So why am I saying all this? Well, I'm not here to bash anyone or any of these organizations. That's not what this is about. I mean, that's not really my place to do it. I'm just trying to call out what I see, and so we can make changes to get more help for autistic adults that are out there right now that need that help. And so that's part of the reason I started the After Us project, right? I'm just a parent. I'm not an expert. I'm not, an attorney. I'm not a doctor, not a financial planner, any of that stuff. I just wanted to show parents how they can help plan for their future of their autistic adult without waiting on a system that's, never gonna have those kind of things out there. So that's just kind of why I'm talking about this, and I hope all that makes sense. So but listen, if you've ever felt disappointed or unsupported by these organizations or anything like that, well, you're not alone, and it's okay. It's not perfect. We just have to navigate this and try to make sure that we have the best plan that we can have for our adult autistic child for when we're gone. It's just that simple. All right, I hope this was helpful and not too much of a downer. Please subscribe if you like this. It's really helpful to me, and it lets me know that I'm on the right track. And listen, not every video is going to be on the right track. Maybe this wasn't. That's okay. But just let me know, and by subscribing, I appreciate it. And that's it. I'll catch you on the next episode.